Hey everyone, welcome back to Code for Two. Last time we finished off with attributes. We did the basics, which we looked at the doc type HTML, the different tags and stuff. Then the element, which just to remind you, well, to remind myself as well, it's the from the closing from the starting tag to the closing tag. That would be an element, including the content inside. And then the attributes are additional information about elements. And we looked at some different attributes such as href for links, source for image, and yeah. So today we're gonna look at headings. We talked about this a little bit in the first video, but so headings are titles or subtitles that you want to display on a web page. So here it shows us different sizes of headings. There's 6 different sizes, H1 to H6. And the H1 is the biggest and H6 is the smallest. As you can see, heading 1 and heading 6. Okay. Headings are important. Search engines use the headings to index the structure and content of your web pages. So index means pretty much guide the structure and content of your web pages. Users often skim a page by its headings. It is important to use headings to show the document structure. Yeah, so you want to grab the viewer's attention. So it's important to include headings so it's more organized and easier to read or look at your website. H1 headings should be used for main headings, followed by H1, and so on. Bigger headings. Each HTML heading has a default size. However, you can specify the size for any heading with the style attribute using the CSS font size property. Okay, so we're looking at some CSS now. So style equals font size 60 pixels. And let's see, how big is that? Okay, so it's like this. What about if we change it to 10? Oh, wow, that's small. Nice. Yeah, so you can play around with the size. You don't have to stick to the H1. H1 is like the guide, and then with the CSS, if you put all this in the starting tag, you can change the number of the pixels and change the size. Okay, so it gives us an exercise to try. Use the correct HTML tag to add a heading with the text London. Okay. So it would be H1, that's the starting tag, and then in the middle we'll put London, and then the ending tag, which is the same as the starting but with a slash to the right. And I spelled London wrong. Okay, let's see if that's right. It is. Perfect. Oh, and it gives us an exercise too. Let's try that as well. Add 6 headings to the document with the text hello. Start with the most important heading, the largest, and then with the least important heading, the smallest. Okay, so we looked at this, and if you recall, the biggest is H1 and the smallest is H6. Let's copy this. Hello. That's why it wouldn't work. And then let's copy this. And let's change this to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And submit as let's go. And then exercise 3. Mark up the text with appropriate tags. Universal Studio Presents is the most important heading. Okay, so that would be the biggest heading, H1. And the more exercise you do and the more code you write, you'll obviously get better. So that's why we're doing these exercises. It can be a kind of a nuisance, I understand, but it's good to practice, and yeah, just you'll be able to remember them. Jurassic Park is the next most important heading. Okay, so H2. About is the third most. Okay, H3. And then the last sentence is just a paragraph. So paragraph, same thing, but with a P. Okay, let's save this. Great. Okay. Let's move on to the next part. Paragraphs. So the HTML-P element defines a paragraph. Okay, we know this. A paragraph always starts on a new line, and browsers automatically add some white space, a margin, before and after a paragraph. Okay, so if we try this, we can see that it automatically, from one element to the next of paragraph, we can see it adds a space, and a margin is like the space between the, like around the text. So you can see there's like a little gap here. If there was no margin, it would just stick to the corner of the paper. So yeah, so it automatically, it has a default margin, which is really nice. But we can play with all that once we learn CSS. Okay, HTML display. You cannot be sure how HTML will be displayed. Large or small screens and resized windows will create different results. With HTML, you cannot change the display by adding extra spaces or extra lines in your HTML code. So what it's saying is, for example, here, even if in your code there's a space, the computer will just get rid of that, and it'll be a continuous paragraph. Even if you made line breaks, the computer doesn't register that. The browser will automatically remove any extra spaces and lines where the page is displayed. Yeah. So, and here what it says, and resized windows will create different results. What it means is, when you look at the website from a laptop, which obviously will have a bigger size than, let's say, a phone, the website won't be displayed correctly because there's no, the margins aren't set for percentage wise, they're set according to, like, not getting in too deeply, it's just, it won't be displayed correctly, it'll just be all messed up. For that we use CSS to adjust to the screen size, but we'll learn that once we get there. HTML horizontal rules. So HR tag defines a thematic break with an HTML page and is often displayed as a horizontal rule. The our element is used to separate content or define a change in an HTML page. Okay, so yeah, as you can see here, it adds a visible line, and yeah, that's all it does, the HR. And it has, the HR also includes some margin, so it's not directly next to the line, the text. The HR is an empty tag, which means that it has no end tag. So yeah, it only has a start tag. The ones that have a starting and ending tag, those are called container tags. Okay, HTML line breaks. We use BR. So HR is for the horizontal line breaks that are visible. The BR are line breaks. So if we try here there's a line break. So then we can see in the text that it processes that line break and it goes down. It moves one down one. Okay. And the BR is an empty tag as well. So no end tag for that either. The poem problem. This poem will display in a single line. Yeah, so like we saw here before, the P, if you put any text in the P without any of the tag line break tags, the spaces that you add won't be processed by the computer. So an easy counter, to easily counter that, we use the pre tag, which is a container tag, so it has a starting tag and the ending tag. And here what it's telling us is the PR is the performated text. The text inside a pre-element displays in a fixed width font, and it preserves both spaces and line breaks. So if we add a line break here, it'll show up as a line break. So that's really nice because you don't have to add the, what is it called, the BR every time, because otherwise you would have to add BR and then BR, and it would be really annoying. So instead of that, you can just put the tag pre, and which stands for the pre-formatted text, and else automatically make the space lines you added. So here it gives us another exercise. Use the correct HTML tag to add a paragraph with the text "Hello World." Okay. So paragraph. So P hello world, and then so P is a container tag, so same thing. So there's an ending tag, and this, let's see if this is right. Great. Oh, and it gives us a few more exercises. Let's see. Clean up this document with proper end tags. Okay, so the end tags, we remember, is the same as a starting tag, but with a slash to the right. So slash to the right, and then H1, same thing. And then with this, same context, same idea. Okay, perfect. Exercise 3. We're flying through this. Add a horizontal rule between the heading and the paragraph. Okay, so BR, I think is for, let's check it. I don't remember. So BR is, yes. Wait, no. It's asking for horizontal rule. So that's the HR. Horizontal rule. Okay. Yeah, just remember H stands for horizontal. Okay, and then B for break. Horizontal. Great. Add a line break in the middle of the paragraph. Okay, line break. So BR. Great. Wrap this poem around HTML tags that will preserve all spaces and line breaks. Okay, so we just learned about this. Pre-formatted text. Great. Okay, off to the next stuff. Styles. The HTML style attribute is used to add styles to an element, such as color, font, size, and more. Okay, so it gives us here an example. I am red, I am blue, blah, blah. The HTML style attribute. Setting the style of an HTML element can be done with the style attribute. So a style is part of CSS. And it has the following syntax. It has a tag name, and then style equals quotation mark, and in the quotation mark, the property, and then the value. And yeah, it tells us here it's a CSS property, and the value is a CSS value. And we'll learn more about this later on. Okay, so first it's gonna teach us how to set a background color. So right now we're just with the preset background color of white, but now we'll be able to change it. So if we, the CSS always goes in the tag, not in between. So because otherwise it'll just be displayed as text. So to set the background color for a page to powder blue, it tells us here we follow this syntax. So first is the tag name, which in this case is body, and then style equals quotation mark, background color, that's the property, the CSS property for background colors, pretty straightforward there, and then two dots, and then powder blue, that would be the color you wanted, the value. So if we run this, we'll see that the background color is powder blue. And if we wanted to make it red, we just have to change this, run it, and there we go. Perfect. Okay, let's see. Set the background color for two different elements. Okay. Oh, nice. So now we can kind of highlight things if we wanted to. So yeah, you just put in a starting tag, you would put the style, and yeah, and then the color is displayed. Perfect. And also, if you notice, here you see the what's in white, that's the margin, the automatic margin that's preset for us. Okay. The CSS color property defines the text color for an HTML element. Okay, so what is it called again? It would be tag name, style, property, value. Okay, tag name, style, property, value. Remember that. Tag name, style, property, value. Tag name is the HTML tag name, then the style, and then property and value are CSS. Okay, so H1 style equals property, color, and then value, blue. So if we look at this, the text is in blue, and then the other text red. Great. Next one. font family, so we can also change the font with CSS. And if we want a Verdana or Courier, we just have to change the value. The property is font family, and then the value is Verdana. And there we go. If you wanted Arial, let's say, we run that, and it's Arial. Yeah, so you can really customize your website with CSS. It's really helpful. Text size. We can also change the text size. So in the property is font size, and then the value is in percentages. So this is another way we can define the text size. So if we run this, that would be it. And then let's see what the 1% would be. Let's run this. Oh, okay. It's pretty tiny. Okay, perfect. The style attribute would overrun the H1 or the paragraph pre-settings. So even though this is H1, and technically, let's write another one here without this style. See, this is technically what the H1 should be, but when we write the style attribute, it overruns the H1 presettings. So even though it's still H1, we don't see the font size. But yeah, text alignment. The CSS text alignment property defines a horizontal text alignment for an HTML element. Yeah, so pretty straightforward. If you want it centered, you have it centered. If you wanted it left, you have it left. Perfect. So yeah, text align and then center, or whatever you want. Left, center, right. So overall, we learned about style attribute for styling HTML elements. And then the properties are background color, font family, font size, text line. Okay. So it gives us an exercise to try. Let's try it out. Use the correct HTML attribute and CSS to set the color of the paragraph to blue. Okay, so first we put style, and then color, or yes, because the quotation marks are already there. Color, and then 2 dots, and then it wants that in blue. So let's try this out and see if it's right. Great. Okay, let's try another exercise. Use the CSS to set the font of the paragraph to Courier. Okay, so the style is already written. We just have to write the property and value. So the property for font is, what is it? Font, can't remember. Font family, I think. Font family, is that right? It is. Let's go. Next one. Use the CSS to center align the paragraph. Okay, so would it be text align? Is that? Yes, it is. Perfect. To set the text size to 50 pixels. Okay, so text size and 50 pixels is already written. Not correct. What? Text size. What did I do? Text size. What? Font size, I think it is. It's not text size. Font size. Is that right? Yes, it is. Okay, it's not text size. Font size. Okay, use CSS to set the background color of the document to yellow. Okay, so we just have to put the property, the CSS property. So background color, it tells it right here. So we can just copy this and paste it, and that should be good. Yes, it is. Perfect. And then last but not least, use the CSS to center align the document. Okay, so in this case, it doesn't give us a style. So style, and then use CSS to center align the document. So text align, and the little dots, and then center. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think this is gonna be wrong or right? Leave your guesses below. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Great, we got it. Okay, perfect. So today we learned about headings, the H1 to H6, and then the paragraphs, and then the styles, the different types of styles with the syntax, which is tag name of the HTML, then the style attribute, then property, and then the value. These two are CSS. And then the different properties that we learned are background color, font family, font size, and text align. Stay tuned for more videos. We'll be learning a lot more, as you can see. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button and don't miss any of the videos. See ya!